All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Anuja Kumar and with me is Subhadra Ramachandran. The headlines. COVID-19 recoveries in the country cross 19 lakh mark. More than 3 crore tests conducted so far. Punjab government imposes additional restrictions within municipal limits of all cities from today amid spike in coronavirus infections. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate first World Solar Technology Summit to be held on 8th of September. Government to release the result of Atal ranking of institutions on innovation achievements today. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar holds talks with his UAE counterpart, invites further investments in key sectors. And Enforcement Directorate files money laundering case against Chinese national for allegedly running Hawala racket. The total number of COVID-19 cases in the country has risen to 26,47,664. The Health Ministry said there has been a spike of 57,982 cases and 941 deaths were reported in India in the last 24 hours. The number of active cases stand at 6,76,900. India has reported highest single-day recoveries of 57,584. The overall recovery rate from COVID-19 has crossed 72%. The recovery surged to 19,19,842. The death toll due to coronavirus infection climbed to 50,921. The case fatality rate has declined to 1.92%. The Union Health Ministry today said a new peak of 8.97 lakh COVID-19 tests was recorded in the last 24 hours. It said even with such a high level of testing, the positivity has remained low at 8.81% compared to the weekly national average of 8.84%. The ministry said aggressive testing leads to early identification and isolation of COVID-19 positive cases, and this, coupled with efficient clinical treatment, brings the fatality rate down. The Health Ministry said focused implementation of center-led strategies has ensured prompt identification, timely isolation, and effective clinical treatment, leading to reduced case fatality rate. It said 30 states and UTs performed better than the national average. India has set a new landmark of conducting 3 crore COVID tests. The Union Health Minister Harshvardhan said expanded diagnostic lab network and facilitation for easy testing across the country have been given a substantial boost.
दुनिया में सबसे कम हमारा जो फैटेलिटी रेट है शायद 1.9 के करीब हो गया और रिकवरी रेट 72.65 के करीब हो गया है और सारे दुनिया के अंदर पर मिलियन केसेस, पर मिलियन टेस्ट, ये सारी जो संख्या है इसके अंदर हम बाकी दुनिया से बहुत बेहतर हो गए हैं। जिस प्रकार से दिन प्रतिदिन हम हमारी हेल्थ फैसिलिटीज की क्षमता को बढ़ा रहे हैं, अपनी लैब की टेस्टिंग फैसिलिटीज की क्षमता को बढ़ा रहे हैं, जिस तरह से एक दिन में 8-8 लाख से ज्यादा टेस्ट भारत में हो रहे हैं और जल्दी से जल्दी हम केसेस को डिटेक्ट कर पा रहे हैं। हमें पूरा विश्वास है कि आने वाले समय में कोरोना के खिलाफ जो लड़ाई है इसको हम बहुत जल्दी सफलता के अंजाम तक पहुंचा पाएंगे।
The minister said the COVID pandemic has given a chance to revisit and structurally reimagine a robust public health infrastructure for the country. Dr. Harshvardhan said this while addressing the 2-day CII Public Health Conference through video conference. Citing India's successful approach in containing and curing this novel health risk, he lauded the country's capacity to turn government schemes into a broader social movement that saw the complete eradication of smallpox and polio. He expressed hope that the Prime Minister's goal of a tuberculosis-free India by 2025 will be similarly achieved.
In the wake of continuous rise in COVID-19 cases, Punjab government has imposed additional restrictions within the municipal limits of all the cities of Punjab from today to till further orders. An official spokesperson informed that movement of individuals for all the non-essential activities shall remain prohibited between 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. within the municipal limits. However, essential activities including operation of multiple shifts, movement of persons and goods on national and state highways, and unloading of cargo and travel of persons to their destinations after disembarking from buses, trains and aeroplanes would be permitted. Similarly, all industries running into 2-3 shifts would also remain open. He revealed that restaurants, hotels and other hospitality units would remain open till 8:30 p.m. Apart from this, shops and shopping malls would remain open till 8 p.m. A total of 1,787 new confirmed cases of coronavirus have been reported in Delhi during the last 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to 1,53,367. Delhi government has confirmed that over 1,38,000 people affected with coronavirus have been cured so far. In the last 24 hours, 740 people recovered and 18 deaths were reported in the national capital, taking the toll to 4,214. Presently, the total number of active corona cases in the national capital is 10,852.
In Uttar Pradesh, the state government is taking all steps to contain the COVID-19 infection, along with continuous augmentation of health and medical facilities. It is for the first time in Uttar Pradesh the number of recovered patients were more than the fresh cases found in a day yesterday. More from our correspondent.
Yesterday, the state witnessed 4,186 fresh cases, while 4,376 more patients were recovered from the virus. However, the state also reported record 69 COVID-related deaths, taking the state death toll to 2,515. According to Health Department, the total active cases in the state stood at 50,893, while 1,04,808 people have got recovered. As of now, the total number of corona cases in the state has reached to 1,58,216. Lucknow still remains the main hotspot of the state, with highest 595 fresh cases found yesterday. MS Yadav, Yaya News, Lucknow.
In Bihar, 4,140 patients recovered from COVID-19 during the past 24 hours. This is the highest single-day recovery in the past 1 week. Altogether, 76,706 patients have recovered so far. Presently, 29,369 patients are undergoing treatment in various hospitals. The recovery rate of Bihar stands at 72%. With reporting of fresh 2,525 cases, the number of positive cases mounted to 1,06,618, while with 5 deaths, COVID toll shot up to 542. Highest number of 303 positive cases were reported from Patna, taking the cumulative figures to 16,925, the highest in the state, followed by 4,387 in Muzaffarpur and 4,229 in Bhagalpur. Over 1,07,000 tests were conducted for COVID-19, taking the total number of tests conducted in the state so far to over 17,87,000.
In Gujarat, 1,033 new cases of COVID-19 recorded yesterday. According to the State Health Department, the recovery rate improved further and reached up to 78.40%. More from our correspondent.
More than 13,58,000 tests have been carried out in the state till date. Record 45,540 tests were carried out yesterday. Out of 1,033 new cases, the maximum 168 new cases reported from Surat. Ahmedabad city recorded 145 new cases during the last 24 hours. Total cases of COVID-19 in the state have gone up to 79,816. At present, 14,435 active cases in the state, out of which 69 patients are on ventilator. 15 patients have lost their lives yesterday, taking the total death due to COVID-19 in the state up to 2,802. Yogesh Pandya, Air News, Ahmedabad.
In Meghalaya, 44 new COVID-19 cases were detected yesterday, taking the total number of active cases to 733, while 4 COVID-19 patients also recovered. Director of Health Services, Dr. Aman Var, told media last evening that out of the new cases, 40 are from East Khasi Hills district, out of which 39 were civilians and 1 BSF personnel, 1 from East Jaintia Hills and 3 from West Garo Hills district. Out of the 4 COVID-19 patients who recovered yesterday, 2 were from East Khasi Hills district and 1 each from West Jaintia Hills and East Jaintia Hills district, taking the total recovered cases to 679.
In Tamil Nadu, the relaxed norms to secure e-pass for travel from one district to the other within the state has come into force since yesterday. Under the new norms, the e-passes are generated immediately after submission of application through the dedicated portal. Meanwhile, the total COVID-19 infection in the state has reached nearly 3,44,000, with 5,890 people testing positive yesterday. The number of recoveries has also gone up close to 2,84,000. The State Health Minister, Dr. C. Vijay Bhaskar, has said nutritional needs of patients to fight the virus is taken into account in COVID care centres. More from our correspondent.
The State Health Department has said the menu cards being followed in COVID wards in hospitals and care centers are planned based on the patient's nutritional requirements. Talking to reporters in Pudukkottai yesterday, Minister Dr. C. Vijay Bhaskar said the fever screening camps have been expanded throughout the state with 1,196 mobile medical teams, consisting of doctors, nurses and paramedical staff. They help identify the suspected COVID cases who are being tested for the infection. He said COVID-19 Siddha care centers are established in all the districts. Meanwhile, the Chennai Corporation has arranged free magazines in digital forms to all the inmates of 8 COVID care centers in the state capital. Jai Singh, AR News, Chennai.
In Karnataka, 6,317 new COVID-19 positive cases were reported during the last 24 hours, taking the total number of positive cases to 2,33,283. In all, 7,071 patients were recovered and discharged from various hospitals in the state, and the total number of recovered patients increased to 1,48,562. A record 115 COVID patients lost their lives, taking the death toll to 4,062. A report.
According to the State Health Bulletin, 2,053 new COVID positive cases were reported from Bengaluru city, followed by Mysuru with 597, Shimoga 397 and Ballari with 319. 80,643 active patients are taking treatment in various hospitals in the state. Among them, 695 are in ICU. A total number of 35,700 COVID tests was carried during the last 24 hours, and the total number of tests have gone up to 20,75,086. Meanwhile, the State Health Department instructed the government and private hospitals to ensure that the beds are immediately provided to patients with severe acute respiratory infections without a COVID test. R. Murthy, AR News, Bengaluru.
In Andaman and Nicobar Islands, the current COVID-19 situation seems to be improving. There is a fall in the number of positive cases reported during the last 3 days, while speedy recovery has been noticed. On 16th of August, 93 positive cases were reported, while yesterday the figure dropped to 46. On the other hand, 99 patients recovered during the last 24 hours. In the last 3 days, 293 patients recovered and 259 positive cases reported. As a result, the recovery rate has gone up to 54%. Till date, a total of 2,445 cases reported, out of which 1,325 recovered, and the number of active cases is 1,091. Participating in AIR live phone-in program on COVID-19, Dr. Raman Gangakhetkar, former head scientist in epidemiology and communicable diseases department of ICMR, told AIR News that D614G, which is a mutated form of COVID-19 virus, is not prevalent in India.
ये जो नया इन्फेक्शन आता है वो वायरस जैसे ही ज्यादा वायरसेस पैदा करता है तो उसके जीन्स में थोड़ा सा बदलाव आता है जिसको हम म्यूटेशन बोलते हैं. इसमें एक पॉइंट म्यूटेशन जो है जिसको हम D614G करके एक म्यूटेशन बोलते हैं, वो म्यूटेशन होने के बाद में कोरोना के विषाणु को फैलने में आसानी हो जाती है. ये ज्यादा लोगों को लगने का डर रहेगा. अभी भी हमारे देश में जितना हमको जानकारी है ये D614G विषाणु इतनी ज्यादा प्रमाण में पाया नहीं जाता है.
In our series Experts Speak on All India Radio, we bring you the views of some leading medical experts on COVID-19. Dr. S. Rajeshwari, Department of Anesthesiology, AIIMS, has advised people to stay home and maintain hand hygiene.
We have seen that there is a severe shortage of ICU facilities in the most developed of countries. And in order that we do not face the same calamity in our country, it is vital that we do not stress the health system by becoming more sick and bringing more patients. And for this, I urge that you must stay at home and must maintain hand hygiene to reduce the number of patients coming into the hospital.
Dr. Purva Mathur, Professor Lab Medicine AIMS, has said that physical distancing is very important to check the spread of virus.
Coronavirus spreads by droplets when a person coughs or sneezes. These droplets do not travel beyond 1 meter, and that is why it's important to maintain social distancing.
The first World Solar Technology Summit will be organized by International Solar Alliance, ISA, on a virtual platform on 8th of September. Sharing details of the summit, the President of the ISA Assembly and New and Renewable Energy Minister R.K. Singh said Prime Minister Narendra Modi will deliver the inaugural address of the first World Solar Technology Summit, and it will be graced by ministers from member countries from across all ISA regions. He said high-level dignitaries from the world of scientific research and development and the CEO's conclave will set the tone of the deliberations on low-cost, innovative and affordable solar technologies. Senior government functionaries, heads of global corporations, financial and multilateral institutions, civil society, foundations and think tanks will be present during the inaugural session.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi yesterday chaired a meeting to review the preparations for a National Master Plan for providing multi-modal connectivity to various economic zones. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said, "It is an important endeavour that will boost productivity, infrastructure, economic progress and opportunities for our youngsters." You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. COVID-19 recoveries in the country crossed 19 lakh mark, more than 3 crore tests conducted so far. Punjab government imposes additional restrictions within municipal limits of all cities from today amid spike in coronavirus infections. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate first World Solar Technology Summit to be held on 8th September. Government to release the result of Untitled ranking of institutions on innovation achievements today. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar holds talks with his UAE counterpart, invites further investments in key sectors. And Enforcement Directorate files money laundering case against Chinese national for allegedly running Hawala racket. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu will release the results of Untitled Ranking of Institutions on Innovation Achievements ARIIA 2020 today. ARIIA is an initiative of Ministry of Education to systematically rank higher education institutions and universities in India on indicators related to innovation, startup and entrepreneurship development among students and faculty. The chairman of AICTE, Professor Anil Sahasrabuddhe, highlighted that the world is observing a noteworthy improvement in performance of India in Global Innovation Index ranking. In last 5 years, India has risen 29 spots in Global Innovation Index from 81 in 2014 to 52 in 2019. He said in the years to come, India will make a true impact on global innovation with the initiatives taken by the ministry in this direction. Our correspondent reports that ARIIA 2020 will have 6 prize categories. This includes a special category for women only, higher education institutions to encourage women, and bringing gender parity in the areas of innovation and entrepreneurship. President Ram Nath Kovind has given assent to the change in the name of the Ministry of Human Resource Development as Ministry of Education. A Gazette notification published yesterday said the President had given his nod to change the name of the ministry. The name change was among the key recommendations of the draft new National Education Policy, NEP, which was declared by the Union Cabinet last month.
In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the 5-day online impact training of grade 2 and 3 teachers concluded under Samagra Shiksha yesterday. AIR Jammu correspondent reports that about 400 teachers from 2 zones of District Doda attended the online program. The training was conducted through Diet using JKKN platform, and 10 resource persons facilitated by 5 course education mentors and Pratham facilitators, PFs, conducted the technical sessions. Ladakh Lieutenant Governor R.K. Mathur yesterday inaugurated a 60-meter span double-lane motorable bridge over River Indus at Choglamsar. After dedicating the bridge to public, Mr. Mathur said that infrastructure development in Ladakh is on top priority. He also said that the provision of special development package by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi is to develop infrastructure, education and health sectors on priority in Ladakh. The bridge has been completed at an estimated cost of 8.21 crore rupees under Central Road Fund. The bridge connects over 5 major villages with Leh town.
The Enforcement Directorate ED has registered a money laundering case against a Chinese national for allegedly running a Hawala racket worth an estimated 1,000 crore rupees using shell or dubious firms. The Central Probe Agency has pressed sections of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act against the 42-year-old Charlie Peng, alias Luo Sang, who is alleged to be the kingpin of the racket. Peng and some of his alleged associates, including Indians and bankers, were raided by the Income Tax Department last week. The taxman had searched at least 24 premises, including that of Peng in Gurgaon. The ED has taken cognizance of the Tax Department evidence and action and a Delhi Police Special Cell FIR against Peng before filing the criminal case of money laundering against him. Peng was arrested by the Special Cell of the Delhi Police in September 2018 on the charges of fraud and forgery and was allegedly running an illegal money changer. He is currently being questioned by the Tax Department apart from Central Intelligence Agencies. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held extensive talks with his counterpart from the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan, covering a range of areas including ways to further boost strategic ties and the situation in the neighborhood of both the countries. The virtual talks were held as part of the 13th session of the India-UAE Joint Commission meeting on trade, economic and technical cooperation. Ministry of External Affairs said the Indian side invited further investments from the UAE in key sectors of the Indian economy such as infrastructure, including logistics, food parks, highways, ports, airports, renewable energy and defense. It said wide-ranging discussions were held in a friendly, frank and constructive atmosphere, reflecting the strong bilateral ties between the two partners.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman yesterday held a bilateral meeting with Minister of State for Financial Affairs of UAE, Ubaid Al Tayar, through video conferencing. Both leaders expressed respect for the long-standing relationship between India and UAE and the need to take it further in mutually beneficial ways. Ms. Sitharaman mentioned that with National Infrastructure Pipeline, NIP, there are greater avenues between India and UAE to collaborate in the field of infrastructure investment. The leaders agreed to cooperate in area of fintech, especially UPI and RuPay card, thereby integrating financial transactions between the two economies. The two leaders also agreed to work together in aligning the interests of India and UAE in various international forums, including G20 and ITU, for achieving common goals. Meanwhile, Minister for Petroleum and Natural Gas and Steel, Dharmendra Pradhan, has said that the National Infrastructure Pipeline will not only revolutionize the creation of infrastructure in the country, but also would pull India out of the economic impact of COVID-19. Citing the case of Digha-Gopalpur coastal highway near construction in Odisha, the minister tweeted that it would be an act as an economic corridor between the two major ports of Paradeep and Dhamra. He said besides facilitating transportation of agri-goods and fishery products, the coastal highway would play a crucial role in the supply chain during natural calamities like cyclones and flood.
An Indian police service officer belonging to 1984 batch of Gujarat cadre, Rakesh Asthana, has been appointed as the Director General of Border Security Force BSF. According to a personnel ministry order issued yesterday, he will be in the post up to 31st of July 2021, the date of his superannuation. Mr. Asthana is presently working as the Director General of Bureau of Civil Aviation Security, BCAS. He will continue to hold the additional charge of DG Narcotics Control Bureau. Another IPS officer belonging to 1986 batch of Andhra Pradesh cadre, VSK Kaumudi, will be Special Secretary Internal Security in the Home Ministry. Uttar Pradesh cadre IPS officer Mohammad Javed Akhtar has been appointed the DG Fire Services, Civil Defence and Home Guard. In Maharashtra, Met Department issued an orange alert for Kolhapur and Satara districts in western Maharashtra and for coastal areas for today and tomorrow, with the prediction of heavy to very heavy rains at isolated places in Ghat areas. Details from our Mumbai correspondent.
The Met Department said the southwest monsoon would remain active over Maharashtra for next 4 to 5 days, which will cause strong spells of shower. Meanwhile, water levels of Krishna, Varna and Koyna rivers in Sangli district have risen due to continuous rains. Residents have been put on alert. In Sangli and Kolhapur districts, water is being released from Koyna, Varna, Chandoli and Radhanagari dams. The water level of Krishna river, which flows through Sangli district, was at 35.4 feet, while the water level of Panchganga river in Kolhapur district was at 38.9 feet. As for Pune, light to moderate rains are likely to take place in Pune and adjoining areas on Tuesday and Wednesday. Rain activity in the district will increase as moderate rains are predicted for Thursday and Friday. Due to good rainfall in catchment areas of Varasgaon, Temghar, Panshet and Khadakwasla dams, which provide water to Pune city, the collective water storage has risen to 88.57% of their total capacity. Sonali Ghadiyar Patil, AIR News, Mumbai.
Now, let us take a look at the weather update for today. North, in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature was 26 degrees Celsius in Jammu, while maximum will be around 34 degrees Celsius. The city is likely to have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. In Srinagar, there will be partly cloudy sky, becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon, evening or night. Minimum temperature was recorded at 22 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be around 34 degrees Celsius. Ladakh will have a mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Minimum temperature was 20 degrees Celsius and the maximum could go up to 33 degrees Celsius. In Gilgit, the minimum temperature was recorded at 20 degrees Celsius. Maximum is expected to be around 40 degrees. The region will experience partly cloudy sky. In Muzaffarabad, there will be a partly cloudy sky with the possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. In Chandigarh, there will be generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. The national capital of Delhi is expected to have generally cloudy sky with heavy rain. The minimum temperature recorded in the city was 26 degrees Celsius. Maximum is expected to be around 34 degrees Celsius. In Dehradun, the temperature will hover between 24 and 30 degrees Celsius. And in Hyderabad, the minimum temperature was 23 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will go up to 28 degrees Celsius.
The United States administration has expanded sanctions on the Chinese company Huawei, which are aimed at further restricting the tech giant's access to computer chips and other technologies. The U.S. Commerce Department has blacklisted 38 Huawei subsidiaries around the world, saying the company is using international subsidiaries to circumvent sanctions that prevent technology exports from the U.S. The tightening of sanctions comes amid escalating tensions between the U.S. and China and Washington's claims that Chinese firms are being used for espionage despite repeated denials. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said the new sanctions were imposed to protect U.S. national security, our citizens' privacy and integrity of our 5G infrastructure from Beijing's malign influence.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Our front page headline in Hindustan Times writes, Government kickstarts talks to explore vaccine deal as the top panel asks pharmaceutical firms for pricing and production estimates. On the contempt of court proceeding, the Times of India observes, Supreme Court to study if procedure needed for complaints against judges. Made in India iPhone 12 set to roll out next year, reports the Business Standard. Rejecting the plea seeking postponement amid COVID-19, Supreme Court paves way for GE NEET in September, writes the Tribune. COVID-hit economy may have shrunk 14.26% in Q1, reports the Economic Times. The paper also adds that signs of pickup in August are also noted. A headline in the Financial Express notes, hiring picks up pace as India goes back to work. To secure the country's financial sector from cyber attacks, Hindustan Times cites setting up a system by the government under the headline, New Mechanism to Tackle Banking Hacks in the Works. And all the dailies are paid tribute to the legendary classical singer Pandit Jasraj, the maestro, who gave vocal music a new dimension. From Apangan and the Pantheon, he brought classical music to everyone, writes the Indian Express.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. COVID-19 recoveries in the country crossed 19 lakh mark. More than 3 crore tests conducted so far. Punjab government imposes additional restrictions within municipal limits of all cities from today amid spike in coronavirus infections. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate first World Solar Technology Summit to be held on 8th of September. Government to release the result of Atal ranking of institutions on innovation achievements today. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar holds talks with his UAE counterpart, invites further investments in key sectors. And with that we end the morning news. Have a nice day.